Hello, it's Mrs. Perryman. How's everybody doing today?
Good. Good.
Glad to hear it. Well, it's our usual Wednesday visit, and I'm always so glad to see somebody because there's no students out here on Wednesday, and it sure is quiet. So thanks for joining me. Got a couple of little housekeeping things I'd like to talk about first. So if there's anybody that is planning on not returning in January, if you would kindly let us know, we would appreciate it. There's a little bit of paperwork involved, and we will need to get your book back and those kind of things. We certainly do not want anybody to go, but we do understand that sometimes you have things at your sending school that you have to take care of, and so we do understand that, but we don't want anybody to go. But just in case there is somebody that needs to, if you could please let me know, that makes things go a little smoother. Something else to keep in mind is next week we will be virtual. So we'll have our Wednesday meeting as usual, and I'll have an assignment on Moodle for you to complete. I'll try to keep it as short as possible because I know we are getting really close to a big holiday. But again, we'll have something small, but we'll definitely have our Wednesday Zoom and a small lesson. Right now, we just had our staff meeting, and Dr. Shoemaker said that presently we are still planning to come back on January 4th, which was our scheduled day that we were supposed to come back, but things could change over the holiday. So just be advised that we're still planning on that day, January 4th, but that could change. The way we will let you know will be either through Remind on your phone or email, or probably both. And as usual, if you have any trouble or questions, you can always call me or text me, and I'm happy to tell you what I know about the situation. So I think mainly what we're thinking is it'll be pretty similar to the Thanksgiving situation where we're going to have a rise in cases. And so I don't know if they will just back the days up, or if we'll come back and then maybe take some time off. But all those things are being discussed, and nothing for sure has been planned. But we will let you know as soon as we know. Okay? It's a definite maybe. How's that sound? Clear as mud, right? Sorry about that. I wish I had more firm news, but anyway, it just is what it is. So we'll muddle through however it goes. Okay? So we're starting a new unit, fruits and vegetables. And so I've enrolled everybody in Moodle under fruits and vegetables, and we're going to start out with fruits. And so I thought that would be a good thing to talk about. I'm going to share my slideshow with you here. Where'd you go? I don't know what that one. Let's see here. There, that's what I want. That's better. There we go. Okay, so sorry, a little operator error there. Identifying fruits. Well, isn't that a pretty picture? All the beautiful colors that fruit come in, and all of the wide range of flavor. So you remember from class this week, we made a fruit, it's hard to say, fruit puree, which was called what? Anybody remember? Remember the sauce that we made? Anybody remember the name of it? Hi, Sammy.
It started with a C.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid?
Yes, Kool-Aid. remember we made raspberry coulis. Excellent, Jamie. Okay, so and then we did some grilled fruit, and we did some poached fruit. You guys remember? So you can do a lot of lovely things with fruit. It's nice and sweet. Sometimes it's a little bit sweet and tart, but always good. And there's a huge variety, so there's something for everyone. We're going to talk about those just now. Okay, so this would be a really good test question. I tried to underline the things on this slideshow that might be helpful to you to try to remember. And here is a good definition of fruit. So a fruit is an organ that develops from the ovary of a flowering plant and contains one or more seeds. Okay, so that is a pretty good definition. Okay, and so if you think about the plants that make a flower, for instance, a tomato. Does a tomato plant bloom? And then you get a tomato? So
Yes.
is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
Fruit.
There you go. Okay, so they sometimes we classify things as other things, but they may scientifically be in another category. So it's kind of interesting to think about the origins of how the particular fruit or vegetable develop, and that helps us determine what classification it is. Okay, but when you think about and you look at all those beautiful colors of fruit, and there really is not another food category that has such wondrous variety of colors and flavors and textures. And so it is really fun to work with and adds so much dimension and color and texture to your plate. And when you think about it, whenever you buy fruits and even vegetables for that matter, you can buy them fresh in the produce section. You can buy them frozen, and you can buy them canned. And has anybody ever tried any dried fruit, like dried pineapple? Oh man, it's so good. Or like a dried apple or apricots. They're delicious. And so you can purchase fruit in lots of different forms. And I think that's also what makes it appealing, is there's such a great variety. Okay. When we talk about the sweetness of a fruit, the thing that makes it sweet is something called fructose. And that is a specific kind of sugar. It's a natural sugar. And that is what is found in fruit. I think fruit, the sugar like what you buy, like granulated sugar, I think that is called dextrose, I think. There's different names, different scientific names for sugar. Fructose is pretty easy to remember because the fruit part of that almost looks like fruit, doesn't it? So that would be an easy way to remember that. But fruit does have some sugar. Some has more sugar than others. Things like bananas and fruits like pineapple, those are very high in sugar, whereas fruit like blueberries, for instance, are fairly low in sugar. And so depending on what it is that you're trying to make might determine what kind of fruit that you use. Fruit also is a great source of fiber. And so, you know, for fiber is that part that helps you with your digestion. You guys, have you guys remember studying about fiber and digestion? Okay. All right, so uses for fruit, I think they're pretty unlimited. This morning for breakfast, I had a smoothie. I had a blueberry smoothie. And so, gosh, you can just use them for just about anything. Anybody ever had fruit, like a fruit salad?
I have. They're really good.
Yeah, or maybe a fruit version. Anybody ever had soup, a fruit soup? Yeah. So I've got a recipe for cantaloupe soup that sounds kind of interesting. If you're not into cantaloupe, you might not like it, but it's served cold. And it goes really nicely with something like a chicken salad sandwich, for instance. And at a fussy little, maybe like a little tea house that serves sandwiches and sweet tea of all different kinds, it might be something that would go along with that. You might also see fruit turn up in maybe like an appetizer, like a fruit and cheese tray. Has anybody ever seen one of those? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sometimes you'll see fruit as a garnish. Things like maybe an apple or maybe a lemon. You might see a lemon on the side of someone's plate. Or maybe even, what about like a ham? Anybody ever seen a ham that has pineapple slices on it? So those are lots of different ways that we can use fruit to add eye appeal and add flavor to our meals. So something that I need you to remember about fruit, and this will be a pretty good test question, okay? There's three main groups of fruit. One is summer, one is winter, and one is tropical. And they're classified by their growing season and by their location. And so we'll talk some more about that next. So here's the summer fruits, okay? And when you think about things that, when they grow, if you think about strawberries, for instance, when are strawberries the most prolific, or when do they grow the most? I think that's summertime. Think about if you've seen a garden growing, maybe you might see berries and things like blueberries and strawberries, for instance. Those are definitely summer things, right? Cherries and grapes and different kinds of melon, like watermelons and cantaloupes. You guys like that kind of stuff? Yeah.
I do.
And some other summer fruits that you'll see: peaches and nectarines and plums and pears. Those are all in that summer fruit category. Okay, and you'll see these, of course you'll see them just served by themselves, just raw, like I said, but you'll also see them turned up baked, like in the form of a cobbler. Who likes peach cobbler? Oh man, so good. And remember our poached pears that we made? So I think most of you guys, you'll make them tomorrow, Sammy. Okay, but poached pears are a most lovely dessert, and that's a way that we can cook those quite easily. Okay, here's some more summer fruit. So think about berries for just a minute. Berries like strawberries and blueberries and raspberries, those are the most perishable, or the tenderest of all of the summer fruit. Anybody ever bought some strawberries before and then got home and they had like the blue fuzz growing on them? Excuse me. That's really disappointing whenever you get home and you find that moldy strawberry in your little pint there. And so you have to work fast whenever you have fresh berries like that, because it doesn't take long for them to lose their freshness and to become moldy. And so think about, as a restaurateur, you'll excuse me, you'll want to buy minimal quantities of that and use them up pretty fast, or you're going to lose them and be throwing your profit into the trash can, which is not good. If you're working with fresh berries, you want to handle them the least amount possible. They bruise really easily, and so the closer to service time as possible, because they don't hold very well. Okay, but you can make some lovely sauces out of them, just like we made with our coulis, like Jamie was telling us about. You can cook them, make things like jellies and preserves and fruit sauces. So there's all kinds of applications for these kinds of berries. And they also are pretty nice frozen. You can do a lot of things with frozen fruit, and it definitely extends the shelf life. So cherries, do you have any cherry fans? I like cherry pie pretty well. And anybody like a cherry on top of a sundae, like the candied cherries? Those are pretty tasty too. All right, now here's a funny word, droop. You guys ever heard of that word before, droop? So this is a particular category. Cherries and plums and peaches and nectarines and apricots all belong to a group called drupes. And the way those are identified is they have a seed, or what we call a pit, a P-I-T, a single seed that's encased in the meat or the flesh of the fruit there. Okay, so those are called drupes, where they have that central pit. Okay, and here's some grapes. You guys like grape juice? That's what we cooked our poached pears in the other day, which you guys that are in the B section, you guys will do yours tomorrow. Yep. So grape juice, grape is another one of those summer fruits, and they grow in clusters on a vine. I have some grapes growing in my garden. I have some, and they're kind of that yellowy green kind of a grape. And they make a lovely jelly. So they're kind of tart to eat, but they make nice jelly, but I put a lot of sugar in them too. So technically, whenever you look at grapes, they're berries. But because there's so many different varieties of grapes, they're grouped by themselves. And there's lots of things that we can do with grapes. So wine grapes, for instance, are specifically grown for wine. And then table grapes, like the kind that we eat, are specifically grown to eat. So they have different sugar content. And so it makes a lot of difference on the climate they're grown in and the kind of soil that they're grown in. And there's a lot of things that affect the flavor of the grapes. Okay. Right, there's the melons. There's two categories of melons: sweet melons like cantaloupe, for instance, or a honeydew or a Crenshaw, and then watermelons. So I tried to grow cantaloupes this summer in my garden, and I mean, they grew the prettiest green vines, and then I had these little baby melons that were probably the size of an orange, and they were doing so good. And as they get bigger, they get sweeter. And the darn raccoons found my melon patch and started eating up my cantaloupe. And I tried everything to keep them out of there. I put a big net over it, trying to keep them out. And I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out something else, but I was excited to see that I could grow cantaloupes, but now I'm going to have to figure out how to deter raccoons. And so stay tuned for the next growing season, and we'll see what Mrs. Perryman comes up with for deterring raccoons in the garden. All right, so here's the different kinds of melons like we're talking about. And I'll let you guys can get on here and read this, the different kinds of melons. There we go. Okay, peaches, again, that's that drupe category that we're talking about. And there's two kinds of peaches, freestone and cling peaches. And what that means is the pit that's inside, sometimes the pit will just come right out, and sometimes you have to cut it out. Okay, and I have cling peaches that are growing on my farm, And I had probably 8 or 10 this year. My trees aren't very old, but my gosh, they are so sweet and juicy and delicious. And I'm always so excited whenever it gets to be time to pick those because they're one of my favorite fruits. Okay, there's peaches. So, oh, here's some trivia for you too. So you've probably heard of a Georgia peach. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah, but actually California grows more peaches than Georgia does. How about that? All right, and there's apricots, and apricots are peach's little cousin. And so they're similar to peach, but they're just a little bit smaller and a little bit less juicy. It's a little more tart. And there's nectarines. And there's the pears. Now we used Bartlett pears, which are these little green ones up here for our poached pears. But there's lots of other kinds. There's Bosc pears and these beautiful D'Anjou, which are kind of a brown, kind of a tan brown color. And there are even some that are round, called an Asian pear, and they look more the shape of an apple. And they are lovely too. And the riper they get, they just get sweeter and juicier. The ones we used for our poached pears were just almost just right. They were really juicy and tasted so nice. All right, here's some categories of winter fruit, which is citrus. And wouldn't you think that citrus would either be in the summer category or the tropical category? Doesn't that sound weird that that would turn up in winter? Yeah. So, but it has to do with the time of year that they're growing. And if you think about like oranges, for instance, usually during cold weather, we're always afraid that we're going to get a frost in Florida right as the trees start blooming or as the fruit starts ripening on the tree. And so it's always a big worry. And so, but citrus fruits, oranges and lemons and grapefruits. Do you guys know what a tangelo is? There's all kinds of citrus, lots of unusual kinds and unusual varieties. So it's kind of fun if you go to a great big grocery store just to kind of take a walk through the produce section where they have all the fruits and vegetables and look at all the unusual stuff that you don't just see at an everyday grocery store. Lots of vitamin C in citrus. Okay, here's our winter fruit, which are apples. Okay, and apples come in lots of different varieties too. We see green apples and pink apples and red apples. And we see them, some of them are really tart and some of them are very sweet. Some of them are great just to eat and some of them taste better cooked. And so there's lots of different applications for apples. We actually are going to cut up an apple in the second class time and we're going to cook it on a kebab. We're going to grill it with some other fruit. And apples are very yummy once they're cooked. Just kind of think apple pie minus the crust. Some pretty good stuff, huh? Okay, tropical fruit. Now those are named for the climate where they grow. So things like figs. You guys like fig Newtons? And dates, and kiwi, and mango, and banana, and papaya, and pomegranate. All of those are considered tropical fruits. So if you like fig Newtons, you probably have had figs before. Okay, dates. One of my friends goes to California pretty often, and he always brings back dates for me. And you know, dates are harvested from a big palm tree, and the dates kind of grow off of the top of this tree. They're called date palms, and they are just a really sugary, sweet, really yummy treat. So, oh, and you know, somebody asked me one time if there was a food that I did not care for, And so upon this list is Mrs. Perryman's most unfavorite fruit, or actually food. Can you guess from this list what it is? Did you say mango, Sammy? I know.
I'm allergic to mangoes.
You are? You are?
I had to get a shot because I broke out.
Huh?
I had to get a shot because I broke out in rash.
Oh gosh, well that's no good. Well, I don't think I'm allergic to mango, but I just don't care for it. And you know, that is really something for me to say because I like all food. There's like no food that I don't like except mango, and I don't know what it is. It tastes like a pine tree to me or something. I just don't care
It's
for
my
it.
favorite, but I'm allergic to it.
You are?
It's like
Well, yeah. Yeah. So, but I love everything else. There's hardly, I can't think of any other foods that I don't care for. So just a little Mrs. Perryman trivia there. But anyway, papaya, those are interesting flavors, and pomegranates are beautiful. You know, those are the ones that have the little red seeds inside when you crack them open, and they look pretty kind of just, sprinkled on a salad or something like that. They're really bright and colorful. All right, here's bananas. Bananas are the most common fruit. And if you become a checker at Walmart, you will have that code that you type in. That'll be like the #1 thing that you sell is bananas. Did you know that? Yeah, bananas. And they're picked green, actually. So, you know, whenever you think about going to the grocery store and all the bananas are green, you ever notice that before? Well, they're picked green because whenever they start to ripen, they get really soft and they'll bruise really easily. And so it's a shipping thing. So they're picking them green so they can get them from point A to point B without them being too bruised and too ripe. And but they are easy to digest. They're soft, and so a lot of times you'll see, for instance, babies will kind of start out maybe on soft food like that and start off kind of with a banana. They do have lots of fiber. They are one of the most sugary fruits, and so if you're watching sugar, you might want to steer clear, but they do have lots of benefits. So, and the most common fruit. So there you go. There you have it. There's figs. And kiwi, do you guys like kiwi? Yeah, kiwi kind of, to me, it really does taste like a strawberry and a grape had a kid. I don't know, but that's kind of how if I had to describe it, it would be like strawberry and grape. But
I'm allergic to kiwis too.
What, Sammy?
I'm allergic to kiwis too.
You what?
I can't have kiwis. I'm allergic.
You're allergic?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, they kind of look like eyes if you cut them, you know, across the middle there. And they're interesting, and that lime green color is so much fun. The skin or the peel on them is a little off-putting. I think that maybe that's why sometimes if people don't care for them, that's probably why. But you can peel them very easily. But I just think they're so interesting looking, and whenever you put them like in a fruit salad or as a garnish, that green just stands out and really pops among the other colors of fruit flavors, or fruit colors rather. And they're just I love the color of them. Mango. Mango has a central pit, and it's a little bit offset kind of to one side, and you have to slice them kind of offset, and then he'll have a long slice or a wide slice and then a short slice. Anyway, but they're just not my favorite. So there's mango. Papaya will have a whole bunch of little bitty seeds inside, and they kind of look like black peppercorns. You guys know what peppercorns look like? Just like little black BBs. Okay. Anyway, that's what's inside there. And there's pineapple. Look how fun that is, how it grows. So it's this little spiky plant, and then all of a sudden we'll get this shoot, and these pineapples will start growing up out of the top of it. And anyway, we always think of Hawaii as being the place whenever you think about pineapple, but actually it is not native to Hawaii. It was actually brought from South America to Hawaii, and so it just worked out that the climate there was suitable for it. But gosh, you can buy pineapple canned or fresh or dried. Pineapple is just like eating candy. It is so good, and it is so good in lots of different things, and it makes a beautiful garnish. And we're gonna use it on our kebabs, on our fruit kebabs, and we're gonna grill them, and they get even sweeter and nicer. And here's coconut. Do you guys like coconut? Yeah, some people, I don't know, coconut's kind of a funny thing. Some people love it and some people just don't care for it at all. But now I like it. And there's lots of good things that are coconut, other coconut products, just besides the shredded coconut. There's coconut milk, and there's coconut water, and there's coconut oil. So are you guys familiar with those products? So kind of the health food kind of thing. You'll see coconut water just in a bottle, or sometimes you'll see it in like a little like in a carton or something like that. Coconut oil, you can use like butter, or you can use it just like you would vegetable oil. And it imparts this beautiful kind of a coconutty flavor to things, that it's pretty mild tasting. And again, you can kind of substitute it like butter or margarine or Crisco, and it's a much more healthful type of oil, and it's something fun to cook with. So here's another little bit that would be a good test question. And so this is the different kinds of quality grading. And so, when fruit grows on a tree, sometimes it grows and it's perfect, and sometimes it grows and it's had either some type of a pest that has taken a bite out of it, or maybe it has gotten mildew, or something has happened to the skin where the fruit is still good, it just that it doesn't look beautiful. And so a lot of times whenever that happens, if the fruit is still good but doesn't look beautiful, then we'll see it maybe in the canned version, or maybe even made in things like applesauce, for instance, where the way that it looks whole doesn't really matter. And so here's when you buy canned fruits and vegetables, excuse me, they're graded. And the fancy ones that, excuse me, the nicest ones will be extra fancy and US fancy and US number 1, US number 2, and US number 3. And so most of the food service operations are going to buy the US fancy because it's not quite as expensive as the extra fancy. And then those lower grades, like I said, we're going to use for pies and jellies and cobbler's, because it doesn't really matter what they look like, because they're going to be all chopped up anyway. And so the extra fancy, or the US grade A fancy, means that it is the best quality. The color and the flavor are excellent, and the size and shape are perfectly uniform. And so that's how you know what it is that you're getting. So whenever you buy them, if you're buying for a food service operation, they will, as you go up this list, they will increase in price. Okay, and so it'll depend on what it is that you're wanting to make, may determine what you're going to buy here. Okay, all right, here's another thing to think about. Remember I told you bananas were picked green, and that is because of shipping. Okay, and one of the things that happens to them while they're in shipment is they may be treated with ethylene gas, which causes them to start ripening. But they also emit ethylene gas, just apples and bananas and melons in general. And what that does is it causes a speeding up process of the ripening of fruits. And so if possible, it is best to store those types of fruits, apples, bananas, and melons, separate from your other fruits and vegetables if you can, because your other fruits and vegetables will have a longer shelf life. But if you think about how quickly this process happens, has anybody ever bought like green bananas, maybe like whenever you go to the store on a Saturday, and then maybe by Thursday that week you've got this black banana? You ever notice that, how quickly? It's like you have like this 2 or 3 day window that a banana is at its optimum, I don't know, yellowness or ripeness, and then it becomes maybe too dark, or maybe it doesn't taste quite as good, but it becomes really good for things like banana bread at this point. So greener bananas are actually used, they're cooked. You can slice them up and fry them, and like you would a plantain. And so there's different uses for things. I mean, you can use all of these, but the riper they get, the sweeter they get. Okay. All right. Here's something else we've been talking about. So remember I told you we're going to make the kebabs on, it'll be Friday, I guess, but for those of you that have already made it, in the kebabs, you had an ingredient, you had lemon juice, and you were supposed to toss your apples and your bananas in the lemon juice. Why do you think you were supposed to do that, or will do that, guys?
Keeps it from drowning.
What's that?
It keeps it from drowning.
Yes, Bristol, right on. So, anybody ever seen this happen before? Either cut up a banana or cut up an apple, and then a little bit later you come back and it's browned like this? And so that's just like a survival instinct. Remember, a pear or an apple is injured just while it's on the tree. It will kind of make a coating on itself just to protect the rest of the fruit. And so this cutting away or cutting into it, it will just on its own try to defend itself, and that is where it will turn dark. Just because it's come in contact with the air. Okay, so it's just a protection type of thing. But if you can put citric acid, you can lemon juice, or there's even some products that you can buy, like Fruit Fresh and things that are like in a powder form, and you just toss the fruit in it, and it helps to avoid some of this discoloration. So if you're making a fruit salad, for instance, or making up things ahead of time that you don't want to discolor, you can do that, and it will buy you some time. Okay, all right, and then things like acids, like this lemon juice we've been talking about, will help your fruit keep its structure whenever you're cooking it. And I think if you remember, whenever we cooked your pear, we poached pears, I think it had a little bit of lemon juice in it, and that was so that we ended up with that nice pear shape. Okay, they're so pretty. So we'll be making something similar to that on Thursday for you guys that haven't done it already. Okay. All right. So that is the end of the slideshow. I put on some things on Moodle for you guys, and so if you'll hop on there and look around, you can check it out. And again, like I told you before, we'll have another Zoom on Wednesday next week, and then we'll be done until after Christmas. Okay, so anybody got anything we need to talk about or anything going on? No? Okay, well, no news is good news, I guess. What, Sammy?
I might not be able to get on Zoom next Wednesday because we might be doing
what?
I might not be able to get on Zoom next Wednesday because we're doing Christmas shopping.
Oh.
So if I'm not, that's why.
Okay, well, I'll record it. And so if you're not able to tune in live, it'll be okay. I know you guys have stuff you got to get done. And so, but I'll record it and post it. Just at some point, if you can get on there and watch it, it'll be just fine, okay? All right.
And then I finished all of chapter 17 today.
Girl, Okay, well, I'm
Sorry.
glad to hear that. Well, anybody else got anything? Okay, well, I'm gonna stop recording.